Get Unstuck Nation. So today, Get Unstuck team up with the expert with Rachel Foy from Wealth Wound Healing. Rachel Foy is the Wealth Wound healer and creator of the Scare Feminine Manifestation Method, helping women entrepreneurs and coaches heal so that they can own their worth and create limitless wealth trauma and its impact on business and making money. Thank you so much for joining Get Unstuck Radio today, Rachel.
Thank you for the introduction, Mutita. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I've just had a bit of snow in England, so everyone's a bit excited.
Snowing already?
Yeah, we don't get snow very much, and there's a lot of snow at the moment in some parts of the United Kingdom. So, yeah, everyone's a little bit excited at the snow outside.
Yeah, it's February, isn't it? That's really delayed.
Yeah, well, we don't really get much snow. It's normally raining. England rains a lot, so snow's quite exciting.
Yeah, I just repatriated from Belfast back to Thailand actually. So
Okay. Yeah, I hear you.
Where about in UK you are right now?
So I am just south of Manchester in the northwest. So Manchester's very well known for the rain, but we won't talk about weather. We'll talk about other things.
Yeah, let's talk about you then. So how you become entrepreneur, Rachel?
Oh my goodness, how did I become? So I started my first business in 2007 now. So so quite a while ago. I've had different businesses. I've done different things. Some things have worked, some things have failed quite spectacularly. But yeah, I've been just very curious and intrigued about the whole entrepreneurial journey, and I've just always wanted to carve my own way. I don't like being told what to do, so being my own boss has always been something that I've really wanted. And like I said, this is now who I am. This is what I've done for such a long time, and I'm very grateful for it, really. So I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, and what you have been doing, like many businesses, and how it's come up to be the healer then?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting how all of this has evolved, as it can do for a lot of people, to be honest. So I started my first business in 2007 was around food and nutrition. So I trained as a nutritional therapist. I was studying homeopathic medicine at the time. So I started doing a lot of work around like food and nutrition and like holistic health. And then after that, I wanted to know more about how the mind and body worked. So I ended up training in hypnotherapy, NLP, EFT, a lot of like neuroscience-based techniques, which then evolved into other interests, which then carried on growing into like healing and energy work. And fast forward to now, and sort of the end of 2020. So not a long time ago. The wealth wound healing was like the next evolution of everything that I'd been doing. So I've worked with people for over a decade now around like mindset and sort of therapy, and a lot of trauma work as well, like childhood trauma, healing things. And I realized that I had such a passion about money and making money as a business owner, and also a huge passion about people making really good money with the gifts that they have to share. And quite often these two things aren't always kind of compatible, because there are things that can stop us, beliefs and self-worth and things that we've experienced. And this is where the wealth wound was discovered after delving into some of my personal things about probably a couple of years ago now. And yeah, this is where I am, and this is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. So how is all started? Like, what is actually wealth wound?
So the definition that I give for wealth wound is it's the things that can really just stop us from having everything that we desire. It's wealth is obviously about money, but we can also be wealthy in all ways. It's abundance. It's being wealthy in love and fun and happiness and energy and all the things that often we also want as well. And wealth wound is really starting to look at all of those things that really prevent us from having everything that we desire. And this is money work, and it's money mindset, and it's money story, but actually it's a lot deeper than that. And it fundamentally is about healing those things that are preventing us from having what we desire. And quite often they can be things around self-worth, as I mentioned, things to do with self-belief, things to do with self-confidence, and trauma as well. So there is a lot of connection around unhealed trauma and wealth wound, because quite often all of us carry unhealed things. Like, we all experience life, and quite often there are things that we haven't healed and fully processed or let go of, and they can still be with us years and years and years later. And they don't have to necessarily be like the really big sort of trauma things that most people think of when they hear the word trauma. It can be anything. Anything that has traumatically affected us, it can impact who we are as a person. And then that can impact how we show up in our business. It can impact the money that we make. It can affect how we charge, how we receive money, how we keep money. So it's really about healing us as individuals so that we can really open ourselves up to receiving as much as we desire to receive.
So when you say that, it's like, I forgot the word that you mentioned. So the wound, meaning that it's already healed, right? But something that hasn't been healed, so it's like open wound. Am I correct?
Yeah. So the reason why I use the word wound, and I don't use the word wound to suggest that everybody is wounded and therefore it's like victim mindset and it's very like negative and like low energy. It's about having an appreciation, I guess, that a wound is, as you said, it's something that hasn't fully healed. And wounds can be little, they can be really big, they can be really deep. And what I noticed, particularly in the coaching world around money, is there are a lot of superficial money mindset conversations that happen. It's come on, just believe in yourself and you can do it, or you tell yourself that you are a money magnet every day, and that's great, but it's like putting a plaster or a band-aid on a wound that has got healing to do. And quite often the wound can be around the traumas and the beliefs that we have that are really quite negative towards who we are. Like they are the things to be healed, because when a wound is healed, it's closed for good. It's like a wound that hasn't fully healed can keep reopening again. And I see this a lot. I've been in the therapy personal development space for over a decade now, and I've worked with so many people, and it's quite surprising how people can often get into that cycle of trying to fix themselves all the time. Now I need to fix something, I need to make something better, I need to make myself better in order to get the thing that I want. And although there can be an element of healing might be required in certain areas, it's really about understanding the little tiny things that might still keep being reopened. They're the things to be healed. It's not everything. It's the things that can often just keep coming back up, like repeated patterns.
Yeah, I feel you. Like I still have many things. Like I think one of the things from my side would be I was a control freak. So I try to like get in control with things, but actually I should let it go, because there are things that I can control and I cannot control. Like I have to keep reminding myself all the time. And it is something that, like you say, is a repeat habit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. So when a client comes to you, how would you be able to discover this little thing?
Yes. So what I tend to do when I work with someone, some people are very clear and they already know. So for example, somebody might be very aware that they sabotage whenever they're making like progress, or if like more money's coming in, they sabotage it. So they already know there's something there. For other people though, and I actually do this for anyone anyway, or everybody, I initially do what's called a wealth wound like mapping session. And in that wealth wound mapping session, we quickly start to identify the most significant beliefs and coding, which can hold people back, and that can actually affect their relationship with money and manifesting, so that they can rapidly start experiencing abundance, like in their life and in their business. so that they can have the freedom to have whatever they desire. So there's a way that I work with people initially so that we can get really clear on what those issues, beliefs, codes, wounds might be, because obviously it's very different for everybody. And sometimes the things that people think might be the thing holding them back isn't necessarily the thing, it's something else. So that can also be quite interesting for people to kind of explore that before they even start.
Yeah, and this thing can change by time, isn't it? Like it's quite situational. I don't know how to explain that, but it's not like something that's permanent though, but it's like the trigger itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, triggers, although triggers are very uncomfortable, I always say that triggers are just like a pot of gold, because when things bother us, there potentially can be something there within us that maybe we can explore. Again, it's not to say that we need to fix it in any way, but it's about being curious. Why did that bother me? Why did I get upset when I read that? Or why did that person saying that made me feel this way? Like there can always be things that we can learn about ourselves. And that absolutely can change, but it's more about recognizing either the repeated things. Any kind of repetition of behavior is often a clue that there's something on a deeper level that keeps being like reactivated. And also the things that might make someone feel just really bad about themselves, questioning whether they can or they don't believe that they have the ability, or they doubt themselves, or they compare themselves to other people. Even if that's not something they do all the time, if it's something that they are aware of when it happens, again, there could be something there that might be connected to the wealth wound in some way. So yeah, it changes, but it's more about recognizing the more significant things that keep coming up for people, as there will be.
And I bet, I'm not definitely believe, but I bet you might have encountered those who go to rabbit holes with it, because it seems endless for someone.
So some people around money stuff can keep looking for solutions all the time, and this is, I actually put a post on social media about this a few days ago. Like, having been in the therapy personal development space for the length of time that I have, there is a toxic side to it. There is a dark side to it. There is a side that can keep people stuck and very dependent on trying to fix themselves. And certainly with the way that I work with people, this isn't what we're doing. It's I believe people can heal fast. I believe you don't need to spend decades in therapy. I believe that you need to be crystal clear on your reasons why. And from that place, you can heal things without having to go down any rabbit holes and having to keep trying to find the next thing. That's what I truly believe. But I do also acknowledge, as you've just said, Mutita, that some people do just keep going down rabbit holes. It's like, well, this bit, going to do this bit, and now I'm going to do this bit, and now I'm going to look at this bit, and now I'm going to heal this bit. There is a faster and easier way to step more into our power, particularly around money and wealth, as opposed to thinking that we need to fix and heal every layer, everything, every issue, because that would just keep somebody stuck in that cycle of not feeling good enough until they've healed all of their things.
I think the first time that I encountered my money transformation, I don't even know how to put that word. I was really thinking that I wasn't good enough to ask for the credit card number. I remember on the sales call. I remember it very clear. And it's actually after that day, I changed my belief that facing my own fear of not being accepted makes money for me, you know? So yeah, it's just like that click. So whoever I feel fearful for, that could be my clients, because they actually challenged me to help them in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, from like anyone who's listening to this, comment below what is your experience, but what you have encountered for your clients.
It varies. Like, there's so many different things and issues and reasons why people feel that they suppose can't make more money, have more money, receive more money, step more into their prices, what they're doing. It really does vary from so many people, but I think that not being good enough is one of the big ones, to be fair. That does come up quite often for a lot of people for so many reasons. Feeling that they are maybe like worthless, or like not worthy of what they want, or worthy of what they're charging, or worthy of, like, you know, asking for that amount of money. So self-worth, self-belief, self-trust, a lot of self stuff always. And all of those things can come from so many places. Now, it can be personal experience that someone's had themselves. So maybe something happened during their personal life experience that made them not feel good enough, or it made them not feel noticeable, or it made them not feel deserving or worthy. I do also work on sort of different levels of healing. So it's not just our personal life story, it's also our collective and ancestral stuff. Particularly as like sort of women business owners, like women are not really coded to make money in the way that men are. I know that sounds quite controversial, but there is an element of the money story around men and women, like masculine and feminine, like that's also different. There's also I said about the collective stuff. Some people believe in past lives, and that's totally fine. So it might be past life stuff that they've carried with them. But yeah, they're not good enough, not worthy enough, not deserving enough. They're three of the big ones for sure.
Can you explain a little bit more about the feminine and masculine energy, those things? I'm not spiritual person. I'm very sorry. I have
no,
background knowledge about that at all.
No need to apologize. So the method that I created around sort of wealth wound, it's called the Sacred Feminine Manifestation Method. And this isn't to kind of sort of push aside any masculine, or this is not about, you know, patriarchal feminism at all. We actually need masculine and feminine to have a successful business. We need both, which is, again, often what people don't realize. They tend to fall more into one or the other. So sort of the energetics around wealth and money are really fascinating. Like, money energetically is very masculine. Masculine energy is about structure and support, and kind of like the sort of the boxes. It's the strategy, and masculine energy of money is what that is. And in order for that to come in with ease, magnetically, the more that we can be in our feminine, which is about receiving and flow and allowing, as opposed to being like making, doing, pushing, expecting it to be a certain way, the more that there's magnetism there. Like, masculine and feminine are obviously magnetic. It's like they connect together. And this has got nothing to do with gender. It's got nothing to do with who we identify as. We all have masculine and feminine energy. And it's about being aware of that. But in terms of the coding that I referenced, something that I recognized for myself was that a lot of the money story things that I'd been doing, and the money block work that I'd been doing, and the money work that I'd been doing was very kind of generic. And actually, I realized that I identify as a woman, I had experienced kind of unconscious beliefs and coding around wealth, which I believed are different to what someone that I identify as a man would have, purely because certainly in the upbringing that I had, it was very like dad went to work and mum stayed at home. That sort of, that kind of social acceptance, I guess. And I see that a lot in my clients as well, that quite often they are still carrying some kind of that belief about stepping more into their power as a woman and becoming powerful, wealthy, rich women is something consciously they're almost fearful of, because it's not something that generationally has been allowed within their family line, and also collectively if we kind of step sideways. So this is also a big part of wealth wound. It's acknowledging that sometimes we do also carry a lot of these beliefs and codings that aren't ours personally, but we're still holding on to them. And epigenetics, which is a branch of science of genetics, it has confirmed that we do carry and we do hold trauma through our DNA. So if we are holding, therefore, the beliefs and traumatic imprint of our ancestors up to sort of 7 generations, some people say it's more, but let's say 7, we're also carrying a lot of those beliefs around money, abundance, wealth, making money, keeping money, that we probably aren't fully consciously aware of, but that will be affecting how we show up in our businesses. It's quite fascinating.
Yeah, and how we solve that then?
Come and work with me. Come and experience wealth wound stuff.
Wow, that's gonna be a very long routine to like unplug. Wow.
It can be, well, I say it can be, it depends on your perception. So for me personally, and I'm putting this into context, as I said, I've been in business since 2007, and up until about 2 years ago, I'd spent such a long time working on money mindset. You know, I'd worked with coaches, I'd bought programs, I'd done a lot of money work, money block stuff. And although it had kind of helped to some degree, my business had kind of gotten to a plateau, like it wasn't getting any bigger. And no matter what I did, it didn't seem to make any difference. And the reason why I discovered Wealth Wound is because I became curious about this ancestral collective sort of epigenetics thing, because I hadn't looked at it. I'd looked at my personal story. And in my personal story, there wasn't really anything significant about money. I'd had a healthy relationship with it. My parents had. There wasn't anything that I could like physically connect to why I couldn't make more. So I actually did some personal work and therapy work and healing work around ancestral stuff, around being a woman who does a lot of healing and energy work. And that made a massive difference for me, that my revenue actually almost tripled during the pandemic. And it had nothing to do with me looking at my personal stuff. It was the ancestral wound, the feminine wound of really stepping into that place of it's safe and okay to become rich and wealthy. So that coding, that ancestral coding that can often keep us very small and safe, was what I worked through, that impacted my business so significantly that I realized, and this is actually how Wealth Wound appeared, it was discovering mine, doing some work through that I realized that actually I've got a lot to share about this now, because it's true. Like, I believe that it's true. It's made a massive difference.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I never thought about it that way. Like, this is very enlightening conversation. Wow. Yeah.
Something to think about.
I'm frozen because I'm thinking about my ancestors, what they have done.
Well, do you know what though? I was actually talking about this this morning. I was doing a workshop in one of my group programs, and we were talking about this and how we never really question sort of that ancestral connection. But you know, I know you said you aren't particularly spiritual, Mutita, but we can't deny that, like, we are the making of our parents, who are the makings of their parents, who are the makings of their parents. Yeah. So that kind of coding is something that we do have within us to some degree, whether it's a big part of who we are or whether it's like a thing that's just in the background. But the ancestral connection to money is fascinating, because we are arguably one of the first generation of women who are fully allowed, or allowing themselves to be all of themselves, make the money, do the businesses, do all the things and have all the things. Like a generation ago, that still wasn't really what women were kind of doing, if you know what I mean. And certainly 2 generations ago, that was definitely true. So we're already stepping into a different place around money and wealth and abundance compared to 1 generation earlier. But that's not to say that we aren't still limiting ourselves based on what our perceptions and beliefs are about money and abundance.
Yeah, it reminds me to think about when my mom's told me about my grandmothers, like how they started business and changing and stuff. Like you made me realize that there are some plot that happens again in my life. Like it makes sense, but I deny that I'm there. You know, that is the thing. I think it's that way. Like I am in denial that I do some similar thing. So in Thai, this is kind of funny, but like my dad, for example, we were not living together when I was very young for many years. But my mom always complained that I'm really like him, even though he haven't take care of me, you know. So
Yes.
these things are like in our genes somehow. I think it makes sense now when you mention that, and it makes me realize many stories.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And just quickly about the masculine, I often see with my clients that have a strange relationship with money, they can have a strange relationship with the masculine with men, because money and men are energetically the same.
Oh.
So yes. So if somebody really wants to step into their full power and allow full wealth and abundance to come into their world, healing wealth wound is quite often, it's not actually about the money, it's about the other things. So one of my clients recently, we've been doing quite a bit of work on her healing her past relationships that haven't worked out, and her perception that men let her down, men are never good enough, men don't stick around for her. That's the same as money. Like the energetic beliefs and programs are exactly the same. So the more that she's making peace with the masculine, the more money's starting to come into her business, because it's an energetic match. It's like, it's really fascinating.
It's funny that you mentioned that. So my previous relationship, the day that he ghosted me, the day after I got $3,000, like that, like.
Wow. Okay.
And since then, my business like take off, like for real. Like this is
Yeah.
fact.
Spooky.
I
Or
know, but
not.
it's fun. But like you say that, and I'm just like, yes, it happens.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. Like energy can sometimes, I feel, have a bit of a misunderstanding. Like it's a conversation that some people who are very logical feel is too in the air, it's too fluffy, it's too spiritual, it's too just up here. But actually the reality is the energetics of money, manifesting, creation, wealth creation, growing a business, it is very scientific. There's a lot of science behind energetics of everything. It's not as up there as some people might perceive it to be. So if anyone listening doesn't really understand much about like energy or the energetics of life, it's a really fascinating thing to just look into, because it's very relevant to money and to making money and to that masculine feminine within a business. Of you actually need both. You need the containers and the structure masculine in order to receive it in, which is the feminine. And knowing how to play in both of those energies is how you can quantum leap and super grow the thing that you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I always claim that I'm not spiritual, but I'm Buddhist, right? So I pray every day. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but I think I share this quite often. But my prayer every morning, what I say, because I felt like I used to live with people who drain my energy a lot, and I decided to stay with those who uplifting me instead.
Mm,
And I always pray that those who like drain my energy or makes me anxious or unstable, I let them go to their path, and I happy for them. Like I love them enough to let them go. Like that's what
yeah,
I say.
yeah,
And that for me is very hard to accept, because like I want to be accepted in that sense. But if that is not gonna happen, so I prefer to have peaceful life instead. So that's making money. So if I have to be like hanging out with a particular group of people who uplifting me, why not really have relationship, like not even think about it right now because I have other focus, and having a better wealth. I would prefer that
mm,
way right now. Like
mm.
and this is logical for me, not spiritual, like not a woo woo thing. I'm not a woo woo thing, but I just go to temple a lot.
No, and I can understand that actually. I absolutely, and I think it's the definition as well, and what we believe to be spiritual. Like spirituality again can have so many meanings for so many people. Like for me, spirituality is about connection. It's connection to my truth, connection to my higher self. Maybe for some people it's connection to a god or the universe, or maybe it's all of those things. But just kind of just realizing or recognizing our own power, like that for me still part of being spiritual. It's being a spiritual being. And that's a prime example, you know, you choosing that for yourself. That's you stepping more into your personal power of saying, I don't want this, I won't tolerate this anymore. Which also is connected to money, because money is about you stepping more into your personal power. You know, if there's something within your life that's draining your power, so people that are toxic or bringing you down, if you can take your power back in that area, that's how you start getting more of your personal power together. And that's the container that money likes to come into. Like, money is about your personal power. So yeah, completely.
I 100% agree with you. Like, yeah, I think one of the things that, well, we don't want that to happen, but sometimes you have to experience something that is like a big true story.
Yeah,
life
absolutely.
is up and down. So you're able to understand why this happened and why you become to the person who you really want to be. Even though we don't want to experience that, but life always gives you lessons that you can transform and you can help others, right? And choose
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's also that suppose like emotional intelligence, isn't it? It's like recognizing that we can always choose to see or interpret any situation in whatever way we wish to, and we can always choose whether something is a lesson or whether it's something that's not a lesson. And I'm the same as you. I choose to see everything as happening for me. There's a lesson in it. There's something that can be part of my growth and my evolution. And that's something that I have to choose every day, because quite often our human side might see something and see it in a very negative, destructive, uncomfortable way, or we get to choose to see it in a different way that empowers us, I guess.
I think many people not really think about that. That is to courage, not courage, courage to double ask yourself. Like, for example, I just got my first car accident yesterday, and let me tell you.
Oh no!
I couldn't brake that. Like, I go down the bridge and I just like couldn't stop, and I just got hit. I hit another person, so it's my fault. And I blame myself so hard. Like, I have this guilt thing with me that like I feel so bad, but I say sorry for the first time that I see the driver. And I mean, they also about to go to put the air into the tear. I don't know how you call that in English. So do I. Same situation, same places, same destination, but this thing happened and it's because of me. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. So what happened? Oh, I have to call insurance, right? The first thing first. And everything have been handled very smooth. Like, nothing wrong. No fight. Everything peaceful. They even asked me, am I hurry? You know, like, kind of funny, but this is my first accident and I'm a bit freaked out. And also there's like the driver is also female. She also, it's also her accident as well. And I'm like, okay, we are in this together. So it's become like that because we are very sincere. Yeah, surprisingly. And yeah, I couldn't believe it. It's just like that. And I chose to. And here's the thing, I keep asking myself about why this happened, but I have to drove back home anyway, and I just like, okay, I let myself to feel sorry today, but tomorrow is gonna be better. So my human side still like take over from me.
Yeah, of course.
I feel bad for her, and I feel bad for my car because I consider my car as a human. Like, she even have a name, and I
no!
got her sick. Like, I just want to take her to take care of actually, and I'm like, I feel so bad for her. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, it's true that you have to take courage to bring back yourself to be on your feet every time, like whatever happens. Like, my mentors always tells me, and I have to always remind myself, like, it's okay, something that you cannot control, but take it back and live in the now. Like, that's something that it's not that easy though. I used to be the one who stuck in bed and looking at the like the how you call it, the floor, like all the time, like whenever I
Okay, yeah.
stressed, yeah, for months. No one understand that it took a lot of courage to just get out of bed.
Yeah, absolutely. And here you are doing this.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny, but yeah, just sharing you with this. Yeah. And Will's journey is totally involved with a man. Anyway, so in case anyone want to work with you, how can they reach out to you then, Rachel?
So the best place is to find me on Facebook or Instagram. So I've got a very simple business. I don't even have a website. It's all done through social media, messenger conversations. So find me at Wealth Wound Healing on Facebook or Instagram. Or if you find me on Facebook, you can also send me a friend request and you can follow me on there as well.
Cool. So everyone follow Rachel and you will get surprised like what happened today in the podcast, something that you have never discovered, but it could change your life. Thank you again to be a guest of Get Unstuck Radio today, Rachel.
Thank you for asking me. Have a lovely day. See you later.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed the show, you can subscribe here or here. And this is the previous episode. Check it out. See you next